The hot European prospect against that Korean that we don't talk about that much, but could still be very good in this tournament. So let's just bring it on the left top side of Triton. We're looking at the main base. The Korean Protoss player, it is Hurricane.
And in the bottom right, new representative of Team Liquid, our Red Terran is Clem.
We know Clem also as a very aggressive player, like very micro-oriented. Obviously good in the multitasking as well. And when this matchup can get crazy, he's absolutely capable of dropping multiple locations at once. I'm really curious how Hurricane is going to approach this though, because yesterday we saw a lot of good PvTs. We saw a lot of Stalker Zealot. Some of them a little more than others. Some of them with one forge, some of them with the double forge, some of them with no forges. I'm manic about it, but we know how quickly those can fall and how important they are for Protoss to stay alive. So from now on, he needs to be extra careful because that Cyclone is out as well. And because it took some real damage and not just shield damage, it's actually a lot easier for the Cyclone to pick that Oracle off.
Hurricane chooses to go for the Phoenix, which allows him to shut down that Banshee a little bit more easily as well once you get the Revelation down. And that's pretty much what he has to do. He has to rely on the Revelation to detect these Banshees. But of course, if you have two Banshees at once, two Revelations are needed, and that's already the Oracle being tested a little bit.
What could be cool as well is that even if those Banshees would go down, let's say Clem just sends him to the other side of the map, then maybe you can keep Hurricane on his side of the map, and that could allow the Marines and tanks to make their way across the map. Then again, he's going up to 3 bases very quickly, so I'm not sure if Clem really wants to take that risk, but I really wouldn't mind a little push with Marines and tanks here, because I look at the army of Hurricane, and I'm going to qualify that as not much.
Especially with the start that he had to then try and take the fast third base as well, right? It just feels a little bit greedy, and it's exactly what Clem's doing. He might not even send the Banshees across. You can just use them in this fight as straight up damage output, because then the Oracles have to get close to the Marines. If they go down, the Phoenix goes down, Banshee's going to do loads.
I'm very worried. Do we have a shield battery at the third base of Hurricane? The answer is no. Oh my goodness. Like, I really feel that his army is terrible, man. Like, once the tank sieges up, I feel like he's got nothing that's good against the tank. Like, if Stalkers are in range, Bonkers are going to go up as well. Don't forget, guys, Clem is going up to 3 bases on the other side of the map. This is by no means an all-in. Obviously, you want to get some value here, and that's absolutely what he's looking for. Maybe the Phoenix can lift the tank. That'd be a good play.
Yeah, he's going to come in for the problem is there's so many Marines, so he gets targeted down so fast. The Banshees hang back for a little while. There's a Revelation to strike them, though, so at least he sees them. But that supporting Siege Tank will do so much. He has already the Sentry in the front blown up, and it's just Stalkers, and these Marines and Banshees getting good damage, and look at those Stalkers. Every time they move forwards, the tank gets another big shot.
Yep, Phoenix is fine. No, I'm gonna dive in and lift that tank. But now that Bonk is gonna make things even more complicated. I feel like one tank shot could potentially kill like 3 Stalkers at once, and that'd be devastating. This Nexus is starting to take some very serious damage as well. The Banshees are gonna settle for a couple of probes. Hurricane finally takes the fight, but loses the Oracles immediately. It's gonna end up losing a couple of Stalkers, but don't forget he also ends up losing 10, 11 probes, something along those lines.
And now the Banshee's in the natural mineral line, and you know what? I don't think they have Revelation on them anymore. So he has to wait for an Observer that's not been built yet, and that just means maybe he's about to run out of energy, so he's backing away. I think that's the case, as he actually runs into an Observer in the end. So a little unfortunate here.
Well, they both still live. I mean, the Phoenix is going to chase it down. Phoenix should be able to get it, but at 16 workers going down, make it 17, why not? A very, very successful start for Clem to this game.
And now you're on 3 bases, your stim combat about to finish up, and that's one of the dangers sometimes in TVP, not having those upgrades when the Protoss comes across the map. And that's just not a thing here at all. So now Clem's already in another phase of this game where he can get aggressive.
Yep, and his army is just going to get stronger and stronger. You look at the production tab and it kind of tells the tale, right? When one guy is like halfway across the screen and the other guy has like a pylon and a robo bay, it's often a really bad sign for the Protoss player.
Yep, and I mean, look at the upgrades as well. He doesn't have any of the Twilight upgrades he wants. He has none of the Forge upgrades. Everything that Hurricane has done and had done to him in this game has set him behind from where he needs to be.
I mean, we're hyping Clem up. We're putting a lot of pressure on this young man, but he is absolutely delivering so far here. I mean, this is not even a fight, Wardy. This isn't even fair. Yes, there is an Immortal in the mix, but he's dropping Widow Mines on top of this army as well. This young Clem going strong. That is was on point. He was clean against Marsmon, but that's what we expect, right? Because even if Clem has an off day, I love Marsmon, Dutch Protoss, and obviously a good player, right? We're talking high Grandmaster League, 6,000 MMR. but there is a very big difference. As they often say, Wardy, there are levels to this game, and in StarCraft there's a lot of levels. 6K is really good, 6-9 is way, way, way better, you know, and that's kind of just what happened. So even if Clem would have been bad, he probably would have won that best of 3. But starting off like this against a strong Protoss like Hurricane, that's got to be feeling really good.
Especially when I feel like sometimes you have this clash of Europe and Korea, and sometimes it's that clash of styles. But so far, the clash of styles goes so much in favor of Clem from what we saw in the first game. It's like, wow, so Clem has to get back, and he might want to think about rebuilding bunkers, as the Viking will go and get a probe or 2 perhaps at most. But he might just be in so much trouble, he's going to pull the tanks even further back. They weren't even sieged up still. Widowmine's on the ramp, but there's going to be so many more units coming out of Hurricane. Yeah,
Hurricane has to be a little bit careful though. He can drop a force field on the ramp, that'd be sick. Look at the amount of economic damage that Hurricane can do here. 6 SCVs going down already, and he's settling for the Orbiter. I think he really wants it. Look at the SCVs that threat, and the tanks are dealing so much damage on the SCVs as well.
Oh, the friendly fire, it's absolutely horrible to watch, as the Orbital will just about maybe survive, but even then the SCVs are still stuck in a corner. He's going to try and drop on the other side of this force field as Stim is finishing up. You've got +1 as well, but man, Hurricane, he's already done so much economic damage, he can just back away now and come back later.
He should definitely back away, and I love that call by Hurricane. He's throwing up the Double Forge and the Templar Archives, and he's producing a power unit in the name of the Immortal right now. I love all of this, because this was so good. It's a shame for him he didn't get the Orbital, but he still put himself in a very good position. But this is where it gets a bit dicey, right? Because you're looking at 0-0 gateway units, and Terran already has 1-0, and Stim. Don't overcommit right now, because you can actually take horrible fights very quickly.
So let's go charging in again. It's like you say, it's like don't go too overboard. As he blinks in for the tanks, the Zealots are getting choked up on the minerals, right? This is exactly not what you want to have happen, but does he just have too much anyways? He really might. As he blinks in, the next tank goes down. So now it is just Marines. But they do have a +1 upgrade, and you know, the Zealots are still not trading well. It's just, he's so far ahead anyways.
It is working out, but I still find it a bit risky and unnecessary. Absolutely. Now he's going to end up losing 8 workers as well. The third, he's going to end up losing a couple of probes in the main base. Hurricane, are you watching? And the answer is yes. Can we take a look at the natural real quick? Yeah, it was unnecessary, right? I know he did good damage again, but did he really have to do it?
Absolutely not, and it is scary. I know he got Double Forge, but he's not putting them to use just yet. So now Clem's working his way towards 1-1. And the army supplies are favoring Hurricane. He's got a lot to warp in from, but it is an ineffective army to fight with, especially if you don't have that critical mass of Zealots to overwhelm.
Yep, no shield batteries here either, and I think a couple of sentries are left. I think the Immortal is very nice though, because like Immortals don't care that much about upgrades, right? Obviously it's very useful, but they're going to be good against Marauders regardless. Guardian Shield is always very useful here as well. So I think Hurricane should be fine, but his army is really not that great.
Yeah, actually gets rid of one of the Widowmines before they fire as well, which is nice, and he is going to push this back, and Clem types out the GG. Caught very off guard there. I think that was Hurricane from the start today, and I'm going to throw you off a little there, Hurricane.
Both of them had a very convincing game so far in this series. Let's see who moves on to the qualification match of bracket number 3. On the right top side, representing Team Liquid, it is Clem.
Very excited just to see where Clem takes the build order to this time, because obviously last game was a bit of a response. So again, it kind of comes down to what you scout, and that really is true for a lot of Terran openers. You see a Stargate and you're building a Viking and a Cyclone, right? So intrigued to see what Clem feels like he can do. There's been a couple fun builds on Eternal Empire, like the Proxy Fusion coin to like a Battle Cruiser that Q popularized for a while. So there's some possibility for crazy here.
Yeah, I've seen Clem do that actually. I think in one of your tournaments he did it against Gong Fu Banda on Nightshade. I looked at it, I was like, this looks so good. He's got a battle cruiser in the main and a big Marine Cyclone tank push at the third, and we're like 6 minutes into the game. I'm like, oh my goodness! Like, I was like, I would have no idea how to deal with this. I'd have 5 Stalkers at this point. You know?
Yeah, it was one of those fun builds that popped up for a while. We haven't seen for a little bit, but then you're like, oh, the Terran's just not overusing it before the tournament, right? Pop it out every now and then.
This is a very big map though. I was going to ask you as well, like, how do you like PvT on Eternal Empire?
I think it's all...
Terran obviously with the mules means that right now Clem is mining a lot more minerals than Hurricane is. I really don't like this for Hurricane, but a lot of these guys are so good at making magic happen. Like, I look at this, I'm like, this has disaster written all over it for Hurricane. But then again, this is a Korean Protoss, and they can really make magic appear where it shouldn't appear in the first place.
It's kind of like the Liberator, just something that can go across the map without sending too much across to deal some damage. Obviously, he's gone 3rd CC again, so he feels very safe to sit back, but that does mean he's missing production, which maybe gives Hurricane the chance to break through here with this army that's now setting up.
Do we have bunkers?
I don't think so. We've got one. I'm not convinced about one, though.
No. But I really like the Cyclone in the main and the Viking to put some pressure on the War Prism, right? Because, oh, there's a Widowmine as well on the top side of the main base. Can we take a look at the main base real quick? Because if that War Prism goes down, that would be a disaster. The Viking and Cyclone are close.
Yeah, it's going to take a big hit, and the unit's just on there. Maybe they already pulled to the natural, because that's where the Zealots are. They break the bunker, now SCV's going down as well, but all the Zealots are gone, and okay, Zealots in the main base, obviously, but that's it, right? The Prism's dead, so Clem cleans up the natural, then he cleans up the main, and he's on 3 CC.
Yep, he's losing a lot of SCVs, and this looks bad, and Hurricane is still going to get a little more, so far it's actually going slightly better for Hurricane than I expected, but this is the kind of stuff you hope to win the game with, and the game is absolutely not going to end here, but hey, getting 23 SCVs, it's a little more than I thought he was going to get, Waddy.
Yeah, 24 SCVs is really, really good. And you can see now he's like, well, this is damage I can transition off of. I don't need to try warp in one more round as Zealots to all in.
That's cool, actually. You just got the missile turret as well, so you can warp in. Get so much value out of like low HP units on the other side of the map. There's Storm, though. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, Clem realized it pretty quick. He saw the Temple and you immediately had to back away to give him time to split. Widowmines might get High Temple if he's not careful.
This is so bizarre, by the way. Like, why is this tiny Protoss army here with like 3 or 4 storms?
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets out of here with everything, it's awesome, but I really don't know if he can. Clem throws down a scan, and Clem is like, no, these units, I don't want them to go home. Obviously, he can turn around and storm, but this is expensive, Body. Multiple High Templars going down.
Yeah, 2 High Temple for what, like a handful of Marines? Even the Marauders escaped that one, as he's going to turn this Liberator back around again.
And there is a double drop, and I'm not sure if Hurricane saw it. The answer is yes. Hurricane was ready, lands a storm again. I gotta say, so far, Hurricane is doing pretty good for a man without Blink.
Yeah, and Blink is halfway done, so it's getting better eventually. As Clem takes his own 3rd CC into position, though, and still has 1-1, but he hasn't moved into 2-2, so I wonder how much that 3rd CC is coming into use, and if he maybe just wants to try and do something if the first ghosts come out now.
So Hurricane still has that proxy gate on the top side of the map. Like, normally it would be like, I don't think he should be aggressive here, but he does have a way to warp in reinforcements very, very quickly. He wants to get as much value out of these quick storms as possible. Those storms do a lot of damage to the Marines, but the thing is, damage is good, but it's more important to get nice for Hurricane, and it's really important for Clem to take care of this, because Clem wants to look at his army. Clem wants to micro this army, but at the same time, he has to deal with Zealots at home.
Oh, those High Templar didn't have Storm, so Clem actually runs past into the 4th base. Now, he is being chased by the Protoss army, so he's got to think about what he does here, but the Archon goes down pretty quick again. This is still 1-1 against 1-1, and we do see, I mean, the Storms just can't get in range. The Widowmines from behind hit the High Templar. There's one Storm left. The Colossi have to try and recall. One goes down, and that means the 4th base is dead, and so many probes alongside it.
That was such an awkward fight, and it really felt that if Hurricane was in a slightly better position, he would have been able to deal with this. Like, even right now, you look at them, you're like 2 or 3 hits from the Colossi, and those Marines are gone. But Clem did a really good job. Just great army movement by Clem, and very decisive, right? He didn't second guess himself. He went for it. He went up that ramp and really called Hurricane out of position here.
Which is so nice to do when it's such a weird fight as well, because it's not one you see every day. So then to say, oh, this is how I fight this now, really won him the fight there. And now Clem backs away, a 4th base up against no 4th of his opponent. The biggest issue is that gate on the top side, because if you get some Zealots in your 3rd when you're still trying to defend the 4th, that's his biggest problem, I think, still.
Do you think that Hurricane could maybe attack with like 3 or 4 Colossi?
Viking is there, so that's going to deflect as he is just going to get the pylon as well. So this is all potential aggression on this top side, shut down. And this army's moving out over here. Clem is actually getting very quick to sim and just say, yeah, let's take it.
Medevacs are a bit out of position there, a little ahead of the party. But Clem had so many of them that losing 1 Medevac is not going to be too bad for him. I do like the way that Hurricane is spacing out units, and he's just using Storm almost as a, no, you cannot pass here, and then drops the Storm, and he's just buying time for himself. He's getting +3 now as well, so that's still kind of cool. Hurricane is trying to economically recover, but right now, his economy is nowhere near as good as the one of Clem, and Clem once again connects with a couple of these High Templars with good EMPs.
Zealots into that 3rd base, but these Vikings were picking away at Colossi when we left, and you can see they're pretty low, you know, another EMP, a couple more Viking shots, and this is going to start getting dangerous. The Colossi are ahead of the rest, and that's going to be 1 going down for free at the start. And those are things you just can't do against someone as good as Clem. What is this? Where the Colossi come back?
They're way out of position. 1 High Templar tried to flank, but didn't really get much done. The Colossi having the most awkward fight of all time. They're blocking each other. Oh my goodness. Like, this was never going to be good, but this actually turned out quite bad. I do love the Zealot counterattack once again. No idea where they came from. And finally, Hurricane has his units in the right position. And for as bad as that looked, Waddy, he actually handled that really well.
And now he's blinking in after it to pick up some kills also. So Clem kind of running away, having to back off here. And Yeah, you're right. Like, for how stupid the fight looked for Hurricane, it shouldn't have gone this well for him in the end. He shouldn't be the one pushing Clem back and chasing across the map aggressively.
But it really helps so much, right, that he has Zealot presence once again on the other side of the map, because as a Terran player, like, Terran armies are good, but you need to be paying attention, because you never know where that storm is coming from. So the moment you have to micro stuff at home against pro Zealots running around everywhere, that's when you're not going to get that much value anymore out of your units. And look at Hurricane, he's so aggressive. Like, I'm amazed by this, because this time there is no warp prison. Maybe he can recall. This is risky though. He's really relying on these High Templars. Oh, EMP!
Yeah, he's looking for the EMP and he just lands it on the army. Instead, he's going to go in. The Viking count is a bit better than before. First Storm is dodged pretty well. First Colossi down as well. There goes the second. So now it's just the Storms, which is great to stop this Terran army chasing you, but it is just Storms and Stalkers. Storm the best EVs.
Yep.
Could be crazy. Instead, he's going to keep running, but if he keeps running, he's going to lose these units. Like, this is enough bio to chase. And that was a High Templar.
He's got one more Storm and he will land the Storm, but that also means that all the High Templars and Colossi went down here. Like, I loved it in the beginning, but maybe something's like recall out. Like, use that get out of jail free card that Protoss has. Because he puts himself in awkward spots and you're like, okay, you shouldn't be here, but it's kind of cool because you can get some damage done. But it's like, hey, Hurricane, it's time to quit, my friend. Like, get out of there.
Yeah, he absolutely went a bit too far. Now he's blocked his own 4th base with the pylon on 5th base. And yeah, that money he's banking up is kind of crazy as well.
If he would be spending all those minerals that he has in the bank and all that gas, well, gas not that much, 600-700, but he had like 2k minerals, Hurricane is actually kind of ahead, and that's bizarre.
Yeah, he's actually already on a bit of a supply lead, but of course Clem is teching up a bit more right now. He's going more towards Liberators, etc. in the product. Oh, Disruptor shots, obviously scary. Stalker's blinking in, trying to take advantage of the fact that Bio is being pushed back by the Purification Novas.
I love how both of them kind of had a cheap and easy win, right? Like Clem in game 1 obviously played well, but Hurricane played just as well in game 2. And we didn't see that much. Now I feel like they're both really testing each other and we can get a good vision on a good view on who's the actual better player. And it felt Hurricane was in trouble a couple of times, but he's salvaging these weird situations really well.
Yeah, he really is, and honestly, his army looks better than it's ever been, right? Disruptors and Colossi and Storm, and Clem is kind of taking a fight. I don't think he can. The Storms cover him on the top side. The Libs show up. If there's one thing there isn't here, it's really decent anti-air, but he just backs away from the Liberators.
There are so few units left for Clem, and he's still pushing, which I think is actually kind of crazy. He's going to pick off one of these Archons, but at this point I kind of felt that it was Clem's time to go. How are there still Zealots running into the 3rd base? Where are they coming from?
Is he just like send them all the way around the map?
Did he rip out a gate? No, right? Wow, GG gets called just like that. Hurricane will actually be the one to move on into the qualification match. Didn't have a good start to this game, but he turned it around, and that's very impressive.
I feel like the last 5 minutes were just insane from Hurricane. Just felt like every single fight he takes, it's